Welcome to today's episode of Law and You. My name is Dele Igbinedion. Now, police would usually go to magistrates' courts to obtain what they call bankers' orders. These are court orders directed at banks, requiring them to freeze people's accounts. In other words, they put what bankers will call a post-note debit, PND, on the account, meaning that when the account holder comes, he will not be able to access his account. And usually this is done in the course of police investigation, maybe criminal investigation or any sort of investigation relating to the accounts, or even out of the whims and caprices of the police officer. So we'll be looking at that. Is this legal? Is it illegal? If you are a magistrate, this should be interesting to you. If you are a lawyer, this should be interesting to you. If you are just a Nigerian, you are neither a magistrate nor lawyer, it's happened to you, it may happen to you, you want to watch this episode of Law and You, when we'll be looking at the illegality of magistrates freezing people's accounts. Don't go away. I'll be right back. 24 hours, 7 days a week.
For more exciting, educative, and entertaining programs such as Law and You, Talk Politics, Entertainment Gist, Relationship Talk, and other programs, keep watching Pinnacle TV. You can watch, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pinnacle TV Online. You can also visit our website at www.pinnacletv.com. Follow us on Facebook at Pinnacle TV Online or call us on 081-546-99989. Pinnacle TV, top quality broadcasting.
Welcome back. We're looking at the illegality of magistrates freezing people's accounts. Now, if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, Pinnacle TV YouTube channel, please ensure that you subscribe and then click the notification bell so that you get instant notification of all videos on Law and You that we upload. Okay? Now, recently there was a scenario where somebody was doing business. He lives in the UK. He's doing business in the UK, and his business is financial services. So you pay money into his account in Nigeria, and he gives pounds to somebody in the UK, anybody you nominate, or vice versa. So someone pays pounds into his account, into their company account in the UK, and you nominate somebody in Nigeria, and then they give money, naira, to equivalent to that person in Nigeria. So like 2 years ago, he got an instruction from somebody that, some money was going to be paid into their account in Nigeria. The money was paid. They gave the pounds to somebody, to the person in the UK. So after 2 years, the gentleman who paid the naira into their account in Nigeria went to the police to allege that, he had been duped. In other words, that the person in whose favor he paid the naira equivalent to the account did not do what they were supposed to do. He said, his story was that the fellow was supposed to have gotten him admission in a school in the UK, and that he did not. Okay, so that was the story. He went to the police. So the police now applied, using what they call the banker's order, to a magistrate's court in Eforo in Delta State, seeking the court to order the bank to freeze that account. So the bank froze the account in Nigeria. When the guy in the UK discovered that his account in Nigeria had been frozen, he sent people to the bank. They gave him the order. They went to the court, and the court directed them to the police. They went to the police, and the police said, this account was used to defraud somebody. And they were like, have you established a case of fraud? You just freeze account like that? And the police said, yeah, we can freeze account. Anyway, while they were having this, back and forth, the police went back to the magistrate's court and got another order from the magistrate instructing the bank to transfer the equivalent of the money originally paid by the first gentleman in Nigeria, to transfer it was about 5 million, to transfer the 5 million naira from the company's account back to that person's account. So after like 2 years of his paying money into an account, they transfer the money back. And they close the case file. There was no file in the court. The police investigation closed. So when these people went back to the police to say, what's the outcome of the investigation? They said, you know what? Investigation has closed. The money has been returned to the gentleman. He's happy, and that is the end. So meanwhile, the man in the UK was crying foul. Money was paid to his account. He deducted commission. He paid the money out to the person who ought to receive it. Everything legit, everything documented. And now his company has suffered a huge loss of more than 5 million, which they had already paid out. So this gives you the sort of picture of what magistrates are doing, And I say this with the greatest respect. Now, when police bring these bankers orders, they support it with an affidavit, and the magistrate just signs it. There is no formal case filed. There is no criminal charge filed. There is no civil case filed. So the magistrate is exercising neither civil nor criminal jurisdiction. Okay? It's exercising neither civil nor criminal jurisdiction. And in fact, first point I want to make, and this is quite important, before I go into the nitty-gritty of the law. No magistrate has the powers to make orders in his chambers. You do not, you cannot, you should not, you must not, you will not make any order, binding order, legal order in your chambers. Because anything you do in the chambers, in other words, anything you do outside the court hall where everybody is watching you, is actually illegal. It's illegal. Now, there are several decisions of the courts on that point. Several decisions. Okay? A magistrate court ought to sit in open court. There's a registrar, there are parties, there's a claimant, a defendant, or a prosecutor, a defendant. There are always two parties to every case. So a case is either civil or it's criminal. There must be two parties. The two parties must be present. You cannot make orders where one party is not present, except there are preservative orders, i.e. orders of interim injunction to restrain one party from doing something. And these orders are usually done pending notification. You know what? You make the orders, then you notify the adverse party, you serve in the court processes. He gets the court processes, then you let him know when he can come to court to respond. When he can come to court to react. And then you listen to both parties. And then you make your order. But you cannot make a final order without hearing from the other side. You cannot. Now, I know that some magistrates are doing it. But now you are hearing from me that it is wrong. Okay, it's wrong. Now, I am not just saying it. It is a decision of the High Court of Lagos State. High Court of Lagos State. So that nobody will go out with the impression that, Dele Igbinedion just saying this, just saying it for himself or by himself. And who does he think he is? Does he think he is the law? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you the authority. If you care, you can look for it. It's in suit number LD/1961/GCM/2017 between C.E. Osemene and 5 others, okay, versus Guaranteed Trust Bank and 6 others. So that's the case. Lagos High Court, LD, for Lagos Division of the High Court, 1961 GCM 2017 between G.C. Osemene and 5 others, representing themselves, this is in bracket, representing themselves and other bank account holders whose accounts have been frozen by irregular and invalid bankers' order in Nigeria against GTB, Guaranteed Trust Bank, and 6 others. So this suit was filed by C.E. Osemene in Lagos for himself and 5 others as representing everyone whose account, bank account, have been frozen by irregular and invalid bankers' orders in Nigeria. So that was the account that was the action that was filed. And they filed this action in 2017. And what did they ask for? I'm going to just read through a few things, their claims. A declaration that the banker's order freezing bank accounts cannot be validly issued pursuant to a non-existent repealed Bankers Order Act of 1847 or any other irrelevant foreign law. Okay, you heard that? A declaration that a banker's order freezing bank accounts cannot be validly issued pursuant to a non-existent repealed Bankers Order Act 1847. 2. A declaration that Section 89 of the Evidence Act of 2011 does not empower a magistrate to issue a banker's order or order of freezing bank accounts. Number 3. A declaration that a magistrate lacks the powers to make banker's order or order of freezing bank accounts pursuant to non-existent repealed Section 7 of the Bankers Order Act 1847, bracket 42 Vic 011, bracket closes. That's one law that used to exist but that is no longer existing. A declaration, this is number 4, this is interesting. A declaration that a banker's order or order of freezing bank accounts cannot be validly issued without a proceeding in court. That's the point I made earlier. You can't issue this in your chambers. 5. A declaration that a banker's order or order of freezing bank accounts cannot be validly issued without a court proceeding with suit number and record of proceedings. Because this is what these magistrates do. And I say this with the greatest respect. I respect all of you, but you can't just sit in your chambers. No suit number, no proceeding, no parties. You just sign. Go and freeze an account. You can't do that. And I say it again with respect, okay? So if you are watching this, I respect you. 6. A declaration that a banker's order and an order of freezing bank accounts cannot be validly granted ex parte to last indefinitely. 7. A declaration that a banker's order cannot be validly granted in the absence of a formal application supported by an affidavit. So, and then on and on, they ask for 10 reliefs. The matter was heard by Honorable Justice K. Alogboa, who is now the Chief Judge of Lagos State. Okay, and at the end, this was the decision of the court. I think that's what is important. That should be interesting to everybody who is watching this. The judge held. So, that to begin with, the banker's order in issue in this case was patently issued pursuant to a non-existent law. That is the Bankers Order Act of 1847. The Lagos State High Court said it is a non-existent law. It does not exist. It is not known to our Nigerian law. And consequently, that order, the banker's order, was null and void, ab initio, and of no effect whatsoever. Okay, I got to remove my glasses because this is, interesting. It says the contrary matter is the case with the so-called banker's order, quote and unquote, in issue herein, proceeding from a non-existent law and order a non-existent legal proceeding, and ordering beyond the limits of inspecting and or taking copies of entries in the banker's books, and also not for the purpose of any existing or pending legal proceeding. It is an order. This is interesting. Please listen to this. This is from the Chief Judge of Lagos State. It is an order. That's a banker's order. I say it's an order which can only exist in the imaginary world of the dreamland. Certainly not in any existing, valid, pending legal proceedings stricto sensu, as clearly defined in Section 10 of the law. For short, it is a nullity ab initio. Bam. Nullity ab initio. That is, from the beginning, it is a nullity. Bankers' orders. This is the Chief Judge of Lagos State making these pronouncements. My Lord, the Honorable Chief Judge, the #1 judge in the whole of Lagos State, saying this. I will continue. On whether the police can freeze accounts without legal proceedings. Can the police freeze accounts without legal proceedings? If you are police, hear me. If you are registrar of a court, hear me. Section 4 of the Police Act does not expressly grant such power or prerogative to the police. In the course of their investigations, if the police must have recourse to and take copies of bankers' books, they must strictly comply with Section 7 of the Bankers' Book Evidence Act, supra. They must institute a legal proceeding, and there is no difficulty or hindrance in so doing, for the law itself grants liberty that the order may be obtained ex parte by the bank or the party to be affected. Now, the only inescapable condition precedent is that a legal proceeding must be instituted first, and it is only under and in such existing stroke pending action stroke application that such an order can ensue, legally and validly so. Wow. On whether, now there's another principle here, whether the courts are empowered to order freezing of bank accounts and or arrests under the Bankers' Book Evidence Act. Because this dealt with the issue of, the police, they approach the magistrate not only to grant an order freezing the account, but also to make an order that any person that comes to the bank to try to operate that account should be arrested. So here, the Chief Judge, the Honorable Chief Judge, my Lord, the Honorable Chief Judge, dealt with this. And I urge you to listen as I read out. The judge said, I must not fail to mention, and indeed emphasize the point that insofar as bankers' books are concerned, and if the application be under the Bankers' Book Evidence Act, supra, the court is limited to making an order for inspection and taking copies of such entries only. Now, what the judge was saying is, this so-called Bankers' Books Evidence Act of 1847 is not existing in our law. But it says, okay, let's assume, you are making an application under that law. It says the court is limited to making an order for inspection and taking copies of such entries only. In other words, the power of the court is only to say to the bank, give police copies of the bank statement and let them make photocopy. Finish. Show them the copies and let them make photocopy and go away. That is all. That's all. The law, the judge continued, the law does not empower the court to order a freezing of any party's account in whatever name called. And worse still, an arrest of any operator of such account by the bank, as the orders usually say on their faces. And I am sure banks will not dare do so, for it is clearly not their portion, legally speaking. Properly speaking, a court, magistrate court in particular, ought not to grant an order of arrest under the guise of Section 7 of the Bankers' Books Evidence Act. I wonder if I need to read more for somebody, for you, to comprehend this. Do I need to read more? Anyway, the judge continued. On the whole, the court concluded thus. I declare as follows, that the Bankers' Orders Act of 1847 is a non-existent law. Can you hear me? The Bankers' Order Act of 1847 is a non-existent law. Now, this is a decision of the Lagos State High Court, okay, which is binding on all magistrate courts. So no magistrate should, under any guise, with due respect, no magistrate should, under any guise, be issuing a banker's order. 2, A banker's order cannot be granted by any court pursuant to a non-existent law to freeze or otherwise impede the running of any person's account without a pending legal proceeding properly initiated by appropriate originating process and in accordance with or pursuant to a substantive legislation on the subject matter. 3. Section 89(1) of the Evidence Act 2011 does not on its own empower any court to make any order to freeze bank accounts. As we will say in court, I rise. Okay, I'll be right back. I'll take a short break and then I'll come back and then we'll continue this discussion. Do not go away. And if you have not subscribed to Pinnacle TV YouTube channel, please subscribe. Go to Pinnacle TV online and look for the subscription button. It's on red. It should be somewhere around here. Red, just down on the left side. You click it, and if there's a notification bell, you see it, click it so that you can get regular updates of our videos. 24 hours, 7 days a week.
For more exciting, educative, and entertaining programs such as Law and You, Talk Politics, Entertainment Gist, Relationship Talk, and other programs, keep watching Pinnacle TV. You can watch, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pinnacle TV Online. You can also visit our website at www.pinnacletv.com. Follow us on Facebook at Pinnacle TV Online or call us on 081 546 99989. Pinnacle TV, top quality broadcasting.
Okay, welcome back. So we'll be looking at the illegality of magistrates issuing freezing orders on people's bank accounts, purporting them to be what they call bankers' orders. So we have gone through the decision of the Lagos State High Court in the case of CEO Semina and 5 others versus GTB and 6 others. And we've established that bankers' orders is illegal in Nigeria. Very illegal, completely illegal. And if you look at the magistrate court's laws, you will not find any provision of the law empowering the magistrate to do this. So I've always wondered where they get their powers from. I mean, you can't just exercise any power, that the law has not donated to you or given to you or endowed you with. Now, I'm aware that, when magistrates are appointed, their registrars bring these orders and then they tell them, well, they show them other ones that had been done by their predecessors. And they say, well, your predecessor used to do it, so it's a normal thing. I don't have it. The magistrates don't have it. The police don't have the law. Then where is it? Where is that law? And why should you be implementing a law that you have never seen? Now, there is a consequence to this. And before I talk about the consequence, I'll just show you the powers of the magistrate. Is in Lagos State. There's a magistrate court law. And if you go through the entirety of it, you will never find any power given to the magistrate to freeze any account. And the same thing I've got here with me also. This is also the law, Edo and Delta State. So I've got the one of the one of Lagos, and the one of Edo and Delta State. And this really encapsulates, okay, that's a big word, isn't it? This, sort of, the provisions here are similar to the provisions both in the FCT, in Kano State, in Kogi State, in any state in Nigeria. The powers of magistrates are usually the same. There's civil, there's criminal. The civil powers are related to tort actions, contract actions, and such things. Criminal jurisdiction related to the provisions of the criminal code or the penal code if you are in the north. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. So no magistrate can purport to exercise a power that he does not have. Now, having established that, the question again is, what is the consequence of a magistrate knowing that he does not have these powers? Because, knowing that he does not have these powers, goes ahead to begin to issue bankers' orders to freeze people's accounts. Of course, there are rumors everywhere as to why, magistrates are quick to sign these orders. But I won't go into that, okay? You can do your own private investigation. But you know that by the provisions of the AJA, the Criminal Justice Act, any judicial officer, including magistrates, who fails to implement the provisions of the law will be committing an act of misconduct. This is Law and You, or DM us. We are on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook and let us know what you think, or leave us comments on our channel. 24 hours, 7 days a week.
For more exciting, educative, and entertaining programs such as Law and You, Talk Politics, Entertainment Gist, Relationship Talk, and other programs, keep watching Pinnacle TV. You can watch, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pinnacle TV Online. You can also visit our website at www.pinnacletv.com. Follow us on Facebook at Pinnacle TV Online or call us on 081 546 99989. Pinnacle TV, top quality broadcasting.